In a qualitative analysis, there are some key components that you must complete to successfully make a good analysis. The first thing is the overview, where you have a brief description of the company. This is also where we mention any critical events and what the problems or issues that the company is facing. Next is we list the problems. This is where we see what the problems the company is facing. We also need to figure what is the cause of those problems, so the change is more impactful. Which leads to the next one, which is the causes. And this is where we provide an explanation of the problems in terms of theory. After we have the goals, where we identify the end state condition of where the company wants to end up in order to be effective. There should be at least 3 to 4 of these kind of conditions. It leads to the action alternatives, where we list what actions the companies should go through to resolve the problems, which leads to also a recommendation and implementation phase, where we take one of the alternatives and then go through with it. And then we're going to also explain why this alternative meets the company's goals while the others do not. We also want to have a contingency plan just in case everything all goes awry. Lastly, we're going to put an executive summary, which is a brief summary of every single step that we've mentioned till now. This is usually completed last and put in the front of your analysis. A quantitative analysis has some similarities with a qualitative analysis, such as there's an overview and executive summary. However, there are still some key differences between the two. Here we are looking at things at a more numerical standpoint. Problems that have occurred due to calculations. We must complete a SWOT analysis, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Another thing that is key is the significance and urgency. We must figure out what problems must come first and see how important it is to the company. Like the qualitative analysis, there is an alternative actions, but unlike the qualitative analysis, each approach has several different calculations and what I believe can be the most impactful to a company. There's also a decision criteria that highlights on the things we look to come up with our final answer. Then we can use the alternatives and the matrix to see which will fulfill the most to be the right answer. Another key component is the action plan, where we must fulfill how each answers the 5 W's and H. So another way this has improved on my approach of looking deeper into the report, into business communication, is how it looks deeper into my reports and find what changes that has to happen to reach the company's end goals. And for it to go back to qualitative analysis, this approach improved my business communication skills, how it helped me look at business problems at a more thought out approach. So my first highlight of the class was my first presentation, as I believe that was my worst one. It helped me improve and get better. My second was learning about the qualitative analysis. At first, I was slow to understand the concept, but after researching and understanding, I was able to get the knowledge to learn it. Third was my first group presentation. I came in late, so I joined the ride of what they already done, but we were able to go through any hardships, any problems, and able to come up with a pretty good presentation. The fourth was when we were assigned new groups. Yes, I was disappointed being removed from my group, as I thought we did a really good job. But then later on, I decided to think this is something I had to learn every day, as it will benefit me in the future. And lastly was our game for our second group. I decided this was my final highlight because even if a childish game, we learned a really important life lesson. Or we learned a really important lesson.